So I'm going to take a little bit of a different approach here today. I'm going to go through just these questions, and then I'm going to give like a broad stroke from some of the comments that came back from the email I sent yesterday about just in general what's the process of a deal. So at least now by this time already, you have a general understanding about real estate, you have a general understanding about sales, getting rejected, calling, and what happens if the person actually says yes? What happens from that yes until the closing? So at least you have some sort of idea what actually has to transpire while you're making these calls. So I'll go through the 4 points that are here. Called, left a message. The person called back a minute later, made my sales pitch. He asks, what's the rate? So I said, tell me about the property so I can get you one. He says, I have no time for games, no time for this. I asked, can I have a senior broker give you a call at a better time? Who would be able to give you a rate? He said, no time for this, and he said goodbye. This over here, the mistake over here is that the pieces of the puzzle you took here, you have to give someone an answer what the rates are. Something. You don't have to give a fine-tune of it. You can't just say, tell me about the property. The guy asks you a question, the client asks you a question, you have to give an answer. You have to know what you generally are the rates are. The rates today, the answer is, rates are starting to move up as you know. The best rates there, 375, 3 3/4. I might be able to get you a little bit better, but 3 3/4 moves higher. Tell me about your property so I can get you exact, then the guy won't hung up as much. You have to have a broad stroke answer for everyone you're talking to. And the broad stroke answer is, rates are up. Most banks there, 3 3/4. Is it possible to get a little bit better? Probably yes. For a great deal, but that's where we're generally at. Now, tell me specifics about your property. So you always have to answer someone something, and then you can broad. So that's why when I was telling you on a previous session, someone says, send me information, and you want to ask the person, tell me what I should write. You first say, yes, I will send you. So you answer them yes to what they want, so that I don't waste your time. Tell me some information. That makes a lot more sense from that point on. I say, hi, it's Joe. Can I speak with Frank? And the secretary says 1 minute. She comes back on and asks, what's your name? What's your last name? What do you say? So it's anywhere from, say your last name, but say it with confidence, as if like you belong there. Don't like stutter on it. Don't like say hello, say your last name. I personally think go to the extreme. You repeat your first name and the company. And then say, he knows me. So if I was making this call, I'd say, it's Ira. What's your last name? It's Ira from Eastern. He knows me. Because she just doesn't want to feel awkward and ask you again. Maybe you don't know for sure if she came back on because the boss said, which Ira? Or I don't know any Ira. Or find out, you have no idea why she called you. So at least try one more shot. And before you know, he might be the same thing. It's Ira from Eastern. I'm okay if I just put it through. And you just care to get through. So your best bet of getting through is I belong here, and I belong here, and with a sense of confidence, you'll be able to go through. The answer is, what type of deals can we not do? The answer to the question is, there's really no deal we cannot do. It's more, the number one reason why we don't get deals done is because the client really didn't give us a fair shot to win that deal. That's really what it's all about. So a client tells me, I have a deal on the table, and I'm shopping you around. I can't get that done. The guy gives me a small building. It's mine to lose. A little bit of problems on it, I'll get it done. It's really, from our end of it, statistically what's worth your time to get done. So can I do a gas station? Yes. Can I actually do, like someone asked the question, a church, a synagogue? I can do it all. There's nothing we can't do. Is it worth your time, effort, energy to put into it, to work it and get it done? Now, when someone tells me, can I do a gas station? What do I know about gas stations? So your extent of knowing about gas stations, you pull in, you give the person your credit card, you fill it up yourself, and you move on. You have no idea what else goes involved in it, what other things he has to do. What happens if you can't get your night shift worker to show up? Do you shut down the gas station? Or is there a service that will provide attendance to it? You have no idea. It's a whole different business. It's the same way you have no idea the banks lend on it. See, when a guy calls me and says, I have a building, an apartment building, an office building, a shopping center, industrial, the 4 main property types, I know that these 4 property types, I'm able to, almost any question, I could in my mind, I know what could go wrong. So I know when the person sends me the deal, I know what to look at. I know why, and I know to check. This line item seems high, this line item seems low. What about a gas station? So I could look at a deal and say, oh, based on the NOI, a 7 cap, this building works for $750,000. And I start the process. Very little surprises come up in my business. It has to be like a skeleton in the closet. The person calls me back up and I realize something was totally misrepresented. That's a problem. Short of misrepresentation, I don't run into any issues. Short of misrepresentation, the deal's going to close pretty much as described. If the appraisal comes in short, it's going to be for a reason that we're surprised. I'm not going to be way off. However, car wash, I never realized that in a car wash, you're supposed to have this and this line item. I never realized it. So that's that. Also, think about the guy who has a car wash till now. He didn't buy it yesterday. Probably owns a few car washes. Not his first financing. So I know when I'm going to work on a multifamily deal, I know what the market is. So I know what to ask him. What's your bank going to do? What the story is. And based on what he tells me, I know if I can beat it. Maybe I have no idea about his bank, how it works, and I think I have a great rate of 3 3/4, and all of a sudden he turns around to me and says, I'm sorry, I went back to my bank, they offered me 3%. Really? I didn't know they do so cheap. And I called the bank. Oh, when it works for car washes, we get a CRE credit, and we get this, so therefore it makes sense. We don't know anything about it. So can we get it done? So one of you calling us, Ira, it's my own deal. I'm buying it. Can you help me find the bank? The answer is yes. Is it practically worth it to me as an Eastern Union mortgage broker to work the transaction? That's where the question really starts coming in. What is going on in today's market with construction money? Is it accessible in small multifamily in good areas? The answer is that it is accessible. It's tougher to get it done. The rates can be different. But slowly but surely, it's slowly leaving the market where the developers are not looking to develop multifamily because they're also getting nervous. That's one thing that I think it's a good risk. I'll buy this building, buy this piece of land, the construction cost. When it's finished, I think it'll be worth $5 million. Okay, does the bank agree with me? That's a question. Today it's coming to a point where the borrowers are starting to not be sure. I'm not ready to take that risk, put all that money out, and sign a personal guarantee. Because I don't know if I get the rents I'm looking for, so it's not worth starting the process. That's becoming more what's happening now. So to make this shift on this sales pitch, it's not so much for a sales pitch, that's why the shift is I'm shifting away from sales pitches with all of you. It's really walking through the process with all of you. The process is as follows. I'll tell you the perfect world, how this thing could work, and then we'll move on from there. The uniqueness of Eastern Union, where we set up the company, different than in most firms, is it goes by the same general belief system that I have. My belief system is, starting point is I believe in people. Most people don't believe in people. So I invest in people, number one. Number two is I know that everybody has a strength and weakness. It's not like when you meet someone who's a CEO, he's perfect. The top salesman, he's perfect. They're far from perfect. Everyone has the same issues. The difference is that the most successful people know what the strengths and weaknesses are. And they either try to find the job that's better suited for their strength, or what we focus on here is partner up with people that focus on what your weaknesses are. So if you're an amazing talker, that's why you came into a sales role, you should be taking sales training courses. Don't look to take courses on numbers. There are a million number experts out there. Polish your sales strengths. Polish everything you can do on the positive side and leave it to someone else to go do the placement with this. So in most companies, they have what's called general practitioners. A broker is a well-rounded machine. He knows how to talk, he knows how to structure, he knows how to bring in deals, he knows how to deal with banks, he can underwrite a little bit, he can do a little bit of everything. Parts is better, parts is worse. And the difference between one broker and the next is each broker plays to his own personal strength. So for this one broker, he's well-rounded, but he's amazing at numbers, he doesn't usually win clients with his creativity on numbers. This one broker is great on talking. He's going to gravitate towards clients. That's his extra added niche. And then most brokerage firms, a broker has his teams. We did unique, and it took time till it got up and running, and now it's up and running. And this was, from the Derech HaTeva where the success is. The success is that we took experts in each subfield, and we give the brokers a network of experts in every sub part of the field. So the broker is a general practitioner. But when he comes up to numbers, there's someone who's a genius in numbers that will help him on the number part of his deal. So he can do it himself. But he could turn to a numbers genius and say, can you please give me your comments on it? And every other company doesn't have that person. What they have is the broker that's best in numbers says, do me a favor. You're a broker also. I know you're better at numbers than I am. Can you please tell me your 2 cents? and they go through the broker's sense. The broker may want to charge a piece of the deal. I'll help you out. Oh, let's work together. And who says they're really focusing to work it? Not only do I take a genius in numbers, but that genius in numbers ends up helping every broker in the company for that little sliver of the deal. So this person not only has an expertise in numbers, but actually knows how every single broker in the company looks at numbers. So when they give you a piece of advice, even though it's your first day on the job, you have the same knowledge as those brokers. So the broking officer does everything A to Z. The best broker is A to Z, and or knows how to use other people's strengths. But now I'm able to give them an expertise in those fields. So the tough part from a lot of people to set up the system is usually you can't get enough respect for the person's weakness to pay them a lot of money. So take an example. You bring in a deal. The commission's $100,000. In your mind, if you found someone else who's just as good as you, instead of fighting with each other, let's go together, that's my partner. That's a mistake. You find someone that has amazing strengths that you don't have, and vice versa, and work together, you could probably do a lot more business. But it's usually very tough for that originator to really look at the other person and say, yeah, you're my 50% partner. No, you're just a numbers guy. And I got hired numbers guy a dime a dozen, and why should I pay $100,000? I pay $50,000. I pay the highest salaries for those experts because I don't focus on how much they're worth to themselves. I focus on how much they're worth to me. How is it worth to me to have somebody just with numbers? It's amazing. And be so comfortable. I can make a lot more, many more deals because I'll put it in. So in the office here, we do the same thing on technology and same thing in each department. So this is the process works. And this makes it very easy when someone new is coming in. They have the same knowledge as a senior broker. No, I want to work with the best broker because he has better access. I took all those better points and our resources that are available to everybody across the board. The top broker uses these same resources. So when you bring a deal in, the first thing that has to happen is you have to just get a general idea if the deal works. What does it work for? A general idea, general underwriting. So we have a department called an underwriting department. They take your deal, the setups. They will set up your deal. If a client sends you an email with different numbers, the first thing is they set up the deal so it's at least in a general cleanup. You can see black and white with a general level of advice. They're doing this all day long. That's all they do. This department, all they do is 350 deals come in a month. That's all they do. They don't work the deal. They don't shop the deal. They don't negotiate. They don't run nothing. So you take a deal, you send it to the setups department. Within an hour or two, you'll get it back. And they'll give you their comments even based on their level of the business that they know. They're not talking to banks. They want themselves short. You take that information and you really assess it and say, does this deal work for the client's looking for? The client is looking to borrow. The client is looking to borrow $1 million. The client's looking to borrow $1 million. It works for $1 million loan. That's the first step. Assess if it even works on a superficial level. The next step is, do we have a bank that will lend it on this deal? So now we have a department, which is really the main pride of the office today, is a department called QTS, which is the acronym for quotes and term sheets. And there's a whole department now, 5 or 6 people, that all they do is every aspect of writing up the story, submitting it to lenders, following up for quotes, tracking every quote, seeing what quotes other people are getting. Did we miss the boat in a bank? Using technology to pull it all together. And that department also is not on commission. It's a free service to every broker. And that you'll be able to go to that department and say, I have this deal. I know the guy's looking for $750 or $1 million, whatever the number is. Here's the deal. Now that you're more experienced talking to banks, these are the numbers. Did I make a mistake? Does it look good? And which bank would do it? And what could I expect? So most of your questions, when you're new, that a guy says, what could you do for me on a deal like A, B, C, D, and E? And you don't want to bother yet a broker who's busy. Don't waste my time because they're commission-based. You could send an email to someone in QTS. You build a report. 2 people that run it, this Moshe Feiner and Aaron Kleinman, and you could ask them. Say, I have a client on the phone who told me ABC. What can I do for him? General questions, down to the details, they can answer you. The beauty of this department is, I explained to them what it made a huge difference in my business. Obviously, on one side, it made a difference because I have one group of people that know every deal in the company. So very few fall through the cracks. So if broker 1 loves bank 1, 2, and 3, and broker 2 loves 4, 5, and 6, 7, 8, 9, what happens if bank 2 is the hot bank? Only broker knows it. Broker 1 knows about it. But now this department will go to broker 3 and say, oh, they're the hot bank, and they can move things around. And this way, it's one unit that we're fighting. And there's another huge benefit to the newer brokers. Since this department's up and running and now it's working in full force, the newer brokers coming in now have the same intel and knowledge as a senior broker. Because they have a senior person who has time and is motivated to help them, because their job is who do they help today. And a new broker will take more help from them. So they're able to ask me for a bigger bonus, etc., on that help. But there's a deeper level that happens over here. In my whole fundamental thought process of negotiating back and forth, partnering up, partnering up strengths and weaknesses, here's the problem that happens. Usually, the person with the best bedside manner is usually not the best doctor. Usually the best doctor doesn't have the best bedside manner. A reason for it is because if someone who's focused on being nice and polite and this, they spend time doing that, not as much time as studying what they should be studying. They also went out of their way to they spend time on things that aren't necessarily as necessary for the actual business. The top doctors say, I'm here to learn the field, I'm going to become an expert in it. Same thing in the office here. If you were starting new and I didn't have these sub-departments, you'd walk into the company here, like it used to happen, and say, I have this deal. And I say, but this deal, you don't want to go to broker number 4. He said, yeah, but the guy doesn't want to talk to me until it's a real deal, and I don't even know yet. So, but broker 5 is willing to help me now and answer all my questions. But I have to help him. I have to go with him if it happens. So you get stuck in the middle. Broker 4 is the right broker, doesn't want to deal with you yet. Broker 5 is willing to deal with you. But when the deal comes to fruition, you don't want broker 5 on this deal, you want broker 4 on this deal. But you can't take it away from broker 5. He helped you out. There's a $50,000 commission. He doesn't want to walk away from it. The beauty of QTS and then not on commission, you have the ability to go a step further down the line without making a decision. So by the time after you speak to QTS, it makes sense the deal works and you can get it done. By this point, any broker would take it. Because if you walk over to any broker in the camp, even if they have zero tolerance for wasting time, there's no more wasting time. You walk over to a broker and say, listen here, I spoke to a client, setup's underwritten already. QTS said they could get it done. Can you help me from here to the close? Which broker's saying no? No broker's saying no. The issue is I get off the phone with the guy who asked me this question, what should I do? Who's giving me the time today? Nobody. That's the tough part. So making it successful was the battle. So I built these departments simply because I want to convert more deals. The added perk that came from it was this perk. Take along now, the real added perk is the app. You don't even need to call QTS for most of your questions. So on your app, you have access to a button called Ask QTS. On the app itself, you could type in any address of a deal, of a market we're in, and the app will tell you the same information the person will tell you. That's what he gets his information. It will show you, oh, these are the top 5 banks in that neighborhood we do business with, and how many deals we did with those banks. And if you tap on the bank, it will open up the actual quotes we did. So when you walk by a senior broker's office and say, whoa, this is amazing. I can't be like him. Guy gives him an address, goes, yeah, we got building down the block, around the corner, this is the rates we got. I can't know that. You have it on your app in front of you. While you're talking, the guy just type that button, it's there. And every day that data is getting better and better and better. So all these ancillary benefits are all coming together at the same exact time to give information. So I'm very big in tracking of numbers. So I looked at it that the company brings in 350 PWs a month, 350 new deals a month. And we used to convert 25% of those deals, now up to 27% of those deals. That 2% is 7 more deals a month. It's 84 more deals a year that happen. So when I look at it, can I afford just this department? In the beginning, I ran into a problem because when I hired this department, the senior broker said, why are you bringing in some stupid new guy? There's nothing about anything. He's going to be on my banking. You're wasting your money. You're better off spending your money on this versus this. But the bottom line is 2 years later, none of them say that because I brought in someone who's the nicest guy in the world, and Aaron Kleinman. Every banker loves him. You need a relationship. He's the guy that schmoozes with every single banker. But you can't be the nicest guy if your job is to be an SOP and close a deal. He doesn't have to be an SOP. So you can just go out and schmooze at the banks all day. So when you need a favor, he'll do the favor for you. When you need someone who's going to understand the business and know when to push him, that's when Moshe Finer works. They can both do each other's job. But when you meet them together, there are 12 together. One knows the details better, one knows the big picture better. They both could do both parts. And that's the same way the whole entire part of the whole business is built out. So even if tomorrow morning we expand it or replace it, and Moshe Finer decides, you know something, I'd rather become an underwriter in the company, or I'd become my own broker. So it's replacing that position. But ultimately, someone new coming in, something's tracked. So now also, we have information flows through the whole company. Emails go out. Does anyone know of a lender that will do A, B, C, D, and E? And some people give an answer because they have it the top of the head. It's someone's job now who takes all those emails, updates it into the app. So when you now go to that bank, soon you'll be able to go and click on a bank and see all the recent notes that anyone in the company ever said about that bank. So the guy goes, you have a good relationship with Investors Bank? You'll have to tap on Investors Bank. And write this, say, yeah, we did X number of hundreds of millions of dollars with them last year. And you'll see notes. They're a great bank. This is the only negative they have. So, but for you, it's not a problem because you're looking for this and vice versa. That intel is at your fingertips. So now you have to have a person. I've also made it an automated process. The next part of the process is that now I'm wearing the hat if you're a regular broker here. You're a regular broker. You don't want to split your fee with another broker 50-50. You want to basically run a deal yourself. In the past, I didn't have an option for you necessarily because you need a broker to really help you at that caliber who's going to work with you at that caliber. Another broker. You have to give them half the commission, which I'm a big fan. If you look at every real estate closing, you never see, oh, Ira closes deal. Every single deal in the real estate newspapers show a few people involved in deals. There's always a few people involved. Some people have low-level people help them, people on their team. There's always a few people involved. I'm actually a big fan of you always want to bring in someone at a high caliber to work with. So if you're new, give away half your commission. You'd rather make half of a lot than 100% of nothing. It's not really 100% of nothing, half of a lot, but it works over time always this way. But I do feel sometimes that you're at a disadvantage because sometimes that senior broker is not going to be really motivated to really work this client as hard as you would because it's not his own. For you, this is your deal, it's your life. For him, it's one of his lives. So one of the things we also did, this we started earlier than the QTS, is that I took people that, what is really a good broker? A broker has two parts to the equation. He's able to run the deal, understands the deal, build relationships, creative, push things through. There's the other part of him he brings in the business. Two parts of the equation. I found a few people, and one person's running it right now. We have three in the company. Like this is Mayor Kesta, there's Uri Shoshana, and there's Abe Coleman. These are people that have the ability to be their own brokers. And they actually have some of their own clients. But they don't like the thrill of cold calling, of winning up the new business. They'd rather trade in the upside that comes with that to security of just having to work deals. So they would work with you at a 75-25 split instead of a 50-50 split. So you get a caliber of the top broker in the firm and don't have to give away half your commission, you give away 25%. So again, I have experts again. So if you find, you know, some of this deal, I don't want to work in piecemeal. I want someone at a high level to really hold my hand the whole process. But I don't want to give away half and half for life. I want to just, this one deal, work with an underwriter. You could pick and choose for that one deal. Go to underwriter and work with him. When you go to a broker and he works with you, you're a partner for life. If you start in the beginning, he helps you win the client. You can't say, oh, I've been having 2 years, let me take back the client. It doesn't work that way. You're partners for life. So that's the next step. The other step of the process is, so what happens is, let's go through the process. The first part is easy. Put the numbers together. That's setups. Second part is also easy. They know what banks are doing. They do a write-up, a cover story. It says, my client has 26 buildings. He's looking to refinance his building. And they submit that deal out to the lenders that they think it should go to. Again, they're using the Ask QTS button on their side. Which banks are recommended, and they send it to those lenders. And even on your app now, if you bring in a deal, you'll be able to track that deal. QTS sends it to these 12 banks. And as a bank is a quote, you'll see it live. It'll get populated live. The whole entire quote. It's all transparent. So you have to ask, I don't get updates. You do get updates. It's live. Whatever he knows, you know. The next step of the process is, now the key part here is, you're never giving this to a piece of technology. You're never dumping it on someone's desk walking away. You're staying on top of every step, or the broker you're working with. But instead of just being you have a high-level expert with you every step of the way. So the next step is they send it out to all the banks. The banks start giving back offers. You know, you wanted $1 million? I offer you $950, $975. One offer came in for $1 million. And they decipher all the offers with all the nuances, which one's better for the client. So you call back the client and say, I know you wanted $1 million and non-recourse. I can't get you $1 million non-recourse. I get you $950 non-recourse. Is it worth it? You might say, you know something, go back to the bank. If the bank is willing to give me $960, I'll take the deal. Or if you get whatever the changes are, you yourself can call the bank, or you work alongside QTS. They'll get you that bank to agree. And if yes, they'll get a term sheet. And now you go to the client. So listen, we have a verbal till now, but the bank put into writing $960,000, non-recourse, 3.75%, and it writes out the terms of the deal. At this point, the client will say yes or no. If the client says yes, the client will give you a check as a good faith deposit payable to the bank. Remember, we work for free until the deal closes. The bank doesn't work for free until the deal closes. The bank wants to be covered for every expense that they have. In the banking business, they don't have all that money, extra money that they make. So the process would be is that he gives a check. This is called a process. So he'll sign the term sheet. It's a letter of intent, a letter of understanding, which will outline the general terms. And he gives, with that signature, he gives a check made out to the bank. He's basically telling the bank, I'm engaged to you. My full intent is to really close with you. Let's start the process. The process is, and that's what the bank takes the check for, the bank will engage a third party. The bank will engage an appraiser, an environmental. All different parts of the process. They'll have someone do due diligence, ask you for the historicals like we discussed in the course. Give me the last 2 years, tax returns. Give me your financial statement. Give me copies of leases. Give me proof of this, proof of that, order the title report. And then someone sits there and oversees the process. Again, in the office here, to the moment it goes in process, there's someone here in the office at your option that all they do is run the process. So support staff that all they do is help run the process. Again, you could be cheap and say, I don't even want to give a tip to anybody. I'll do it myself. The smarter people get someone to assist them and do all this back and forth. Why? Because what are you going to do with your free time? You'll bring in more business. If you're stuck doing this, you can't bring in more business. So the key thing, someone explained to me once in sales, I see it firsthand, is that the difference between a great broker, a good broker, a great broker, and a superstar is how many cycles they have a year. So a good broker spends a month or two originating, a month or two tying those deals up, and a month or two closing it. And then they go through the cycle. They do it a second time. It takes 6 months, a 6-month cycle, and do it twice. So they could, like in a restaurant, how many times they turn over the dinner table? So they could have the ability to twice a year work on origination. A great broker could figure out how to get staff. He's efficient. And he could do this process that while he gets to a certain point, he could already go back to originating. He can do this 3 times a year. I try to set it up in the office, which separates here. So where the top brokers are producing is that they should never have a lull. Because if they're surrounded by experts at that level, they have partners every step of the process who care about their success, are making enough money, 6-figure salaries along the ride. They have what to lose. They're valuable people. They could spend most of their time just knocking out origination all day long. So at this point, the next step is this whole third party. And what they do is the bank spends the money to order the appraisal. And what happens is after a span of 30 or 45 days, all the information comes back to the bank's underwriter. The bank underwriter gets it, and he takes that same setup you have in the beginning, and he puts a little checkbox for every single line. And he basically says, yes, I underwrote it. I believe the underwriting is accurate. And I have an appraisal to prove that it makes sense. An appraisal to prove that it's worth $1 million. And I had a clean bill of health. There's no environmental problems in the building. There's no engineering structure with the property. I have a clean set of title. If everything looks perfect, in the perfect world, I'm going out first. They walk into committee. They present to committee. 3 months ago, we gave this client an offer. This was the term sheet. I did all the due diligence. I confirmed everything. I backed it. It all matches up. As promised, we should close. 5 people sit on the board, or 7 people. They give a vote, yes, yes, yes. They get 4 votes, majority votes. They issue a commitment. That actually says it's not subject to anything. We are ready to lend you $1 million, confirmed at this rate, da-da-da. And there's a few checklist items that might still be needed prior to closing. Negotiate some of the details and the terms, and then within a week or 2 from that point, the transaction closes. So if you go back, the big part of this business is when someone says, trust me, I'll close your deal, it means trust me. We'll go through all the due diligence, go through all the underwriting. Something comes up, we'll work it out, we'll get it through the closing table. Most of the problems that come up, and many problems come up, because the guy does an appraisal. The appraiser comes back and says, I don't know, you told me $72,000 in income. In NOI, I only see 68. And they go through the numbers line by line. They find there's a mistake. No, I don't agree with that assumption. I agree. And you go, okay, let's agree $70,000. Okay, fine. And they focus on the cap rate. My cap rate's too high, then too low. Or I'll tell you what, I think the expense is $70,000. But I think you were conservative on your value. I think I'm going to do a 6 cap at $70,000 is better than a 6.5 cap at $72,000. It's a negotiation. The goal is, I care about one thing. I promised the guy $1 million value. Get me to the $1 million value. If you can't. If you can't, no one's doing it for you. You could make an argument to negotiate. It has comparables that make sense. He'll work on that backup. You have the second stage of the process. The second stage of the process is, engineer comes back and says, the roof has to be done 4 years from now. And we think it cost $100,000 for this roof. Are you crazy? First of all, 10 years. There's another report to argue and say the lifespan is 10 more years. And then Even if I have to do it, it's not 100,000, it's 60,000. I have 3 bids at 60,000. Goes back to the bank, goes back to the boss and says, listen, which one should we go with? The bank looks at it and he makes a decision. You know something? I'll meet in the middle. Or no, 60,000, right? You have 3 reputable companies. I agree with that. And I agree the lifespan is going to be 6 years or 7 years. Escrow for the difference. These are step by step. Then he comes back with some of the line items and numbers. You told me this expense here. I checked the bills. I know what you're talking about. These are higher, this is lower. Something is different that took place on the transaction, what's working on. So all these things keep going back and forth as start verifying. You run the guy's credit, look at the title report. Did anything come up? Why is this a problem? This whole process that goes through is a 30 to 60-day process. And then the transaction closes. So now if you understand why we vet so strong in the beginning. If I have a client that doesn't want to level with me up front, it's not going to be forthcoming with information. If they want to go down the line when they need a ton of information, it becomes a nightmare beyond the nightmare to get these transactions closed. And that's why when we're working these deals and we're working all these transactions, and you're making the cold calls up front, that's why you understand we're doing this for free. Give me a shot. Because I'm going to work this for free. I'll have my setups department at QTS works on almost every single deal. And we don't close every single deal because we don't win the assignments, but we have to do that much work. So if I could vet before we even start, who's my competition? That's why I train you to ask those questions. Who am I competing against? Competing against a business broker? If everything is even, who's getting the deal? He's getting it? I'm not wasting my time. Because I believe when all is said and done and we back and forth negotiate, we'll probably be the same. Maybe off the cuff, I'll be cheaper. But once you tell him I'm cheaper, I'll find a way to match it. I'm not wasting my time. So we only work on deals by the time we think from a sales point of view, we have a good shot to win it. And even then, you go to underwriting and realize you made a mistake. Deals could die after setups. Deals could die after QTS looks at it. After QTS starts selling it out to the banks. Yeah, people lie to us. Oh, I'm not competing at all. You go any bank you want. Start sending it to banks. Say phone calls. Oh, we got this deal already from another broker. Oh, I didn't realize my partner sent it. This is the beginning of the nightmares, the stories that take place. So you're like all nice. The guy's nice to you on the phone. And you find out later on the guy totally lied to you. Sometimes he totally lied to you, and sometimes he actually has a partner who takes different cases.
At which point in the line you drop? Which point in the is nothing true?
So this is where I differ than most, is that I have very low tolerance if I think that a guy's lying to me and I drop the guy. I don't want to represent such a guy. He's going to lie to me later on. It's going to be worse. Now I'm not as emotionally attached, number one. And number two, if I'm not like 80% confident that if I brought him the right deal, he's going to work with me, I wouldn't work it. And that's what the difference is. So you're going to say, people always tell me in the beginning, oh, that's because you're already successful in the business, so you're going to turn it down. But if you were new, no. Those that are successful have the same approach when they started. I never took the approach that if a deal doesn't make sense, why not? I have nothing to lose. You don't have to lose. You have your own self-worth, your own reputation, everything. You have to realize, I'm going to explain to you on an important sales side why this QTS thing, another perk that came because of QTS. I'm a broker. Let's go with I'm an owner. I don't use brokers. I do a deal myself. I send it out to 5 banks. At the end of the day, how many banks am I doing a deal with? 1. So 4 banks are upset at me. You're wasting my time. Next deal comes around. I'm also going to do it with 1 bank. 4 banks are potentially upset at me. Maybe 3. Go. If I went to the first bank, then 4 banks are upset at me. If I pick a different bank, then for sure 3 are upset. It's already twice. You're wasting my time. On the other hand, the first bank's also upset. I understand. I delivered the last deal. You're not going to give me the next deal. So you're quarter again over there. What do you mean your third deal? You're probably not going past the first 2 banks. After that point, bank 3, 4, and 5 are probably never talking to you again. Unless, like you tell, I promise you, this deal, you're going to, odds are not talking. The beauty that we have in the office here, in general, is if I'm a broker and I work on 10 deals a month, then I have enough to rotate within my universe of banks that I go to. So, okay, overall bank, how many deals do you want a year from me? 3? I'll give you 3 deals a year. You want 2? You want 7? You want 10? Good, that's enough. I'll do it. But I need you to quote. If you want to win my business, you got to quote everything for me. Okay, I'll waste my time quoting. Take me 12 hours a year to quote. I know, winning 3 deals, it's worth it. But still, they do get frustrated with certain brokers, especially if you're new. You go ahead and send out a deal. I'm tied up. It's worse. You send out a deal that can never have been tied up. Your whole reputation's gone. So the benefit also of QTS and the brokers, I told them how to use it the best. QTS is not judged how many deals they looked at and shopped and said no to. QTS is judged by how much business did Eastern Union do with that bank. So when I go to my top bank, I still say, I'm going to send you every deal we have, just in case. They love it. So QTS, so the best brokers, how the best brokers operate, and using the same analogy of 5 banks I was saying before, best brokers look at the deal and say, I plan on tying up with bank 1 and 2. They send it just to those 2 banks. They're always in rotation. And have QTS send it to the other 3. If there's a luck of a draw, QTS produces something better, you go back to bank 1 and 2. What do you want from me? Someone's better than you. You can't even match it. So they're not even upset walking away. On the other hand, QTS is never in a situation where you're wasting my time. Because every time a bank calls this company and says, I want to have some deals, and they call every company in the world, what happens? An email goes to the company, there's a new bank, I don't want to call them back. 3 people may call back. Over here, they talk to 1 person here, QTS. And that 1 person says, okay, what do you want to see? Here's the story. We get 20 deals a day, 15 deals a day, 30 deals a day. Do you want to see the deals we're getting every single day? Only some of them, what do you want? But don't yell at me if my conversion rate's down. Most banks say, for the next month, show me everything. And if we get traction, we'll figure it out. It's a great thing for us. The person in QTS actually sends out the deals, press 1 extra button, and the deal goes out to many more banks. So the clients win the benefit of everything. We get so many surprises every month. We get 1, 2, or 3 surprises that otherwise wouldn't have had. But that's how this works about who does what at what point you're turning it down. Because you have to know you have a reputation to lose. You have money to lose. You have time to lose, and time is money. And you have beyond the time that you have to lose, you have a time of staff that's working. If you keep going over to someone, not tying up deals, they don't want to waste your time. That's how the sales, and this same sale works for everything you're selling. It works this way. Your whole thing is when I give someone my word, I'll deliver. So a lot of times when I call up, when I do a deal, I'll tell them each bank up front, I'm competing. I'm willing to compete for this reason. I think that if I got this and this, I'm going to win. Do you want to work it? So if they say yes, they can't hold it against me. They do anyway. I show them a lot of deals, but at least it takes down that upsetness down drastically. And a lot of times, I tell one of them, listen, my intention is to go to you. Well, if it's up to me, I'll make sure I push you 3 deals a year. So I play that same game. It's much easier now when you're controlling 800 deals a year that close. They can juggle out the amount of deals that they want from each bank and each person. So we were able to close last year with almost 100 different lenders. And I think it was like a 20-something of those lenders. We were in the top 3 to top 5 of that bank's production. See, the beauty we have is that a bank walks in here. We did $3.5 billion last year. So a bank walks in here and they say, how much business are you looking to do this year? 100 million. So how much are you expecting from us? We'd love 10 million. 10 million is nothing. So this bank now is ecstatic. We're 10% of that bank's business. So we're important to so many banks. And other banks that do $1 billion or $2 billion, those are the banks we have to give a lot more business to. Some of the banks naturally we want to do business with. Those are our main banks we do business with. But that's how this whole thing works, is juggling the workload. So as moving more and more streamlined every single day, the department, then they're becoming empowered and self-fulfilling. Because the more deals converting, the more we learn how to preempt upfront, the better off the banks aren't getting as frustrated. So it's a self-fulfilling conversion rate is better fulfilling. Now, you want to know if Bank A is doing something, you have to pick up the phone and say, Bank A, what would you do on this, this, and this? And then they follow, what happened to that deal you called me about last week? Now you just go over to the guy in banking. When you're talking to Bank A, can you ask him this question? In the conversation, I have another question to ask you. It's part of the discussion. So they're never counting and getting let down. And these nuances, they'll say, how important is it? You laugh, what's the difference? I want to just give you an example I think about sometimes. Like, they talk about, like, people make, you go into a pizza shop, a big analogy of pizza shops, as you've noticed, you order tuna fish. They say they put breadcrumbs in there. Why is it filler? I'm thinking to myself, like, the guy's giving me a stupid scoop of tuna. I don't know he's charging you. How much did he save? Because 12% of it is breadcrumbs. Like, what did he save? Then I'm thinking, if you really take it on a macro level, if there were 100 trucks on the highway of tuna fish, 12 of them are bread. Then you see it differently. So if you look at every little thing, there's a little nuance. But it adds up. The whole thing, it's added up all together. It's added up all together. When QTS is on the phone to a bank, they're always tying up a deal. They're always talking to a bank about a closing, about a new deal, about a quote at any given moment at the same time. The same centralized group that gets it done. Now, this wouldn't work. This business is not going to be an assembly line. It's not like some society, you think one day you're going to place people with computers. It's never going to happen. What is going to happen is how much they value your time. Are they going to pay you based on the loan amount, based on the time you spent, based on the value you brought in? That's what's going to change as time goes on. it's going to change that things are more streamlined. But the best brokers that use the system here, they don't give the deal to QTS and walk away. They work with QTS. So they're running involved, staying on point. But when it comes to this step of the process, their partner is an expert in banking. This step of the process, an expert in writing up a deal. This part of the process, an expert in underwriting a deal. This part of the process, controlling the third party. How to deal with an appraisal when appraisal comes in sour. So when we built out these departments, we took from the general pool of secretary staff, the general pool of underwriting staff, which one did people think was great at this one area? And that whole day they just gave them that part of the job. And they loved it. Because other parts of the job they hated, but they had no choice. They worked for a broker. They do everything. They loved this part. They were great at it. There's one person great at preparing appraisals. How to prepare when you're preparing in a package to be sent out to the bank. How to prepare it for the appraisals. So again, the same thing. Everyone wants the least amount of work done. You read a newspaper article. Some of those articles are written by PR firms, but it doesn't say buy from such and such company. But the reporter has to write an article about rents going up in Brooklyn. If I want to get quoted into an article like that, I can either call up and say, oh, next time you're doing an article, I'll do a quote. But sometimes a PR firm will call writers, what's the story about? No problem. They'll deliver them a finished story. This is great to publish. They can use their own name if they want afterward. And in it, they already put the quotes that they want. Once it's built this way, better chance it's going to go straight into the press. It's not advertising. No one influence the press in a bad way. The same thing in every segment of this business as well. When a lender gets a deal from me, exactly the way I know that this lender thinks, quicker they're going to look at my deal first. It's quicker it's going to come to the top of the desk. It's quicker that if I say it should work for $1.3 million and I show them why I think so, they'll do it. But if it's left to them, they may put in I put in a 3% vacancy, they'll just change it to a 5. Their own cap rates, they'll guesstimate. And if they say, sorry, it works $1.2 million, much tougher to get them to switch once they get a statement out of the mouth. But if I present it and it's in range of what they think, then it's easier for them to say, this looks good, done. And they'll go forward in it, as opposed to the other way around. So the same thing with the appraiser. An appraiser has to go and appraise his building. He needs comps. So if I'm able to send out through the lender, you're not allowed to deal with the appraiser direct the same way, but through the lender, I send to the lender, by the way, and here's the whole package you need for the appraisal. Here's the deal, and I think it's a 7 cap for these because of these comps. The appraiser's sitting there in his office, he goes, they're actually on target. It looks right. He'll verify my information, and I'll get a better chance. As opposed to, he might decide on his own to find 7 properties or 5 properties, and before you know, he found the properties worth worse or better. And that's how these things get set up. So every step of the process, all this is salesmanship. Salesmanship is not just like, I'm not a good salesman, I'm not ruthless, I can't get a no to a yes, I can't convince a guy something I don't believe him. None of our business is doing that. Our business is getting somebody, understanding what the person's needs are, fact-finding what the person's needs are, being honest, if we can deliver those needs, pursue it, and if we can't, say, I'm sorry, I can't help you. Being willing to walk away is the key part of the sale, not sticking around. Sticking around is, any idiot could just stick around and keep trying just because give me a chance. It's the other way around. You have to go ahead and walk away from that point tonight. Questions or comments?
What percent of new business is from cold calling?
100%. Probably at 80%. Well, let's go better. I would say almost 95% of every deal that we have is that we got that client from a cold call. We got that client from another client who started a cold call. Maybe there's 1% that have degree past that, or a show, like most of it comes from cold calls. Because you have to realize in the mortgage business, no real estate owner needs a mortgage broker. Logically, we shouldn't exist. I've been in real estate for 30 years. What have we did till now? What does he need you for? The only way you're winning is because you're calling. It's a numbers game. You catch him at a good moment. You got frustrated with his existing lender. You got frustrated with his other broker. The guy made a mistake. You have a good new product. That's what comes in. But the guy's not looking for a mortgage. And that's the business. And the reality is the reason why they're not looking for a mortgage is because they perceive it that even though I could save them money, they're going to charge them a big fee. So very good. You'll save me an eighth, but you'll take it in a fee. Why should I come to you for? That difference becomes a problem. Don't even want to try. So many times that is the case. But you're not just paying me because of the eighth. You have a deal that you think you need a loan. A guy's buying a building or refinancing a building. He's not sure if he's going to sell the building in a few years. He might keep it. And I work out a flexibility on a prepayment penalty. If he sells it, so the guy's a choice, okay? The guy could take a loan for 5 years. Every bank is a loan for 5 years with a prepayment penalty. If you leave early, you have a penalty. You have a penalty that you have to pay. I just realized I don't know if this recording is even going through the sound. But anyway, every recording that you have to go ahead and pay. On the flip side of the coin, he says, I might want to sell the building. The bank says, listen, so don't commit to 5-year loan at 3 3/4. Take a 3-year loan at 3 1/2. But what if I don't sell the building? I don't be stuck just 3 years to refinance. Rates are going up. That's what happens in normal sense. I have relationships with banks that will give me the 5-year rates and the flexibility that if you sell it, no penalty. Or if you sell it, still a penalty. The last 2 years, no penalty. So the first 3 years will be. It's a million ways to get slice it. So is that worth my fee? If I charge this guy a 1% fee now for that luxury, paid an insurance premium for that. What ends up I negotiated other details of the deal for him? So it's not just my fee is not 100% about a savings. It's a percent to have a professional run. It's a percent to negotiate things. Percent to give him the comfort I'll get it closed. Those are all the pieces of the puzzle. A percent for the consulting advice. I don't charge you by the hour. I get paid when the transaction closes. So that's where that give and take comes in sometimes.
I'm missing something. You're saying that like sometimes it's good to say no, but then the next question, what you're answering it, you're saying when you say no to the guy, you're not offering him the creativity that you just described.
What I'm saying is no is as follows. Let's go black and white. A guy calls up and says, is there a way to get me 3.5% of this deal? I have an offer 3.5%. You call up QTS. Now this is a very important point. To be able to be a realist, you have to have one person on this planet that you trust. You have to decide, I'm in this business here, I'm trusting you. I'm trusting this guy at QTS. I'm trusting this broker. That means if that broker, you ask the broker, what is the best you could get me? And the broker says the best is 3 3/4. This guy says, it only makes sense for me to do this deal if I get 3.5%.
But maybe he's not creative thinking the way you are.
Here's why I live in the world of difference.
Okay.
You and me, the way you're describing it now is, and this is the difference of people who never excel to the top of their game. Okay. You first are logic first, creativity second. Right now, high probability. Can you get him what he wants? No. Sir, I cannot get it for you. It's when you're in the ballpark, use your creativity over the top. Because or else you're never going to say no to any request. Because maybe I could be, so you know something, it doesn't work, but if you send me the numbers, I'll review it. Maybe I'll come with an idea. Don't live the life that way. Live the life of logic and statistics first. The guy says he needs 3.5. The best we get is 3 3/4. Sorry, can't help you. And move on. You get someone who says, yes, I can get it, but I'm shopping it around, then that, use your creativity. You know you could do what he wants. You might lose it to a competitor. You want to work the creativity. But even in that, I have a second question I ask. Assuming I come up with a great idea, but at the end of the day, the other guy matches it, or vice versa, who are you going with? If he doesn't commit to you, and that's the difference. If you look back, that's why when they say the word the nicest guys finish last, it's not just because they get taken advantage of. The nice guys finish last is because you can't do the deal, so why are you still sitting around over here? You wasted another hour for no reason. You can't do it, say thank you very much and move on. But you didn't. You said I can't do it, and you chose to spend an hour helping. The best guy said no, thank you, and moved on, and went to the next deal. That's that difference. Learning to say no is a key thing. Learning that no matter how big the deal is, shouldn't get you. Your brain should focus on 80+% probability of happening. Good, I'll take it on. This doesn't have 80% probability. I'm not taking it on. So when it's at a deep level, I tell people in this business, what I found the most amazing part of this business, no matter which company you go to, the biggest firm, the smallest firm, boutique shop, big deals, small deals. You speak to a mortgage broker and you ask him, how many deals did you bring in the last year and how many deals did you actually tie up? The number is approximately 1 out of 4 no matter where you are. Doesn't make a difference. The superstars are 1 out of, not even 1 out of 3, worse than 1 out of 3, 30% no matter where you are. Doesn't make sense. You'd assume that a bigger shop, more banks, gets much higher conversion. But it doesn't work. It's roughly the same across the board. The answer is which 4 they're working on. So someone tells me, very good. When I work on a deal, I met someone whose conversion rate is terrible. I spend a lot of time with numbers. And a lot of my sales pitching is more teaching you to say no. Because if you learn how to say no, you'll have more time to sell. So even if you're not a great salesman, but if you made 10 times the amount of calls you made yesterday, you'll still bring in more business. So you go through these numbers. There's a very important detail. Someone says, listen, I work on a deal. I think it has a 25% chance of happening. I bring it in. It's a mistake. You only can get to a 25% conversion rate, 1 out of 4, if you work on deals that have 80% chance of happening. The reality check is that if you bring in 4 real deals, only 1 will end up happening. Not if you bring in 4 weak deals, what happened? You bring in weak deals, 1 out of 40 doesn't happen. Strong deals, 1 out of 4. Why is it 1 out of 4? Because no matter what, there are certain things you thought you could deliver a certain term, but when you got the quotes, you couldn't. The numbers weren't like he promised you, or he implied that were numbers from the beginning. So there's different parts and pieces of the puzzle that because of those different pieces of the puzzle, you can't get it done. Or the person at the end of the day doesn't bother building if it was a purchase. Or he told you he's giving you the deal, but his partner already gave it to another broker. It's a million reasons could happen. That's when you thought it should happen, and a certain percent comes off of that.
Could you differentiate between the person needing your service? In other words, you discussed a lot of people that are in real estate, but let's say you take a guy who's not really in real estate.
Someone who's not really in real estate is not your client. You don't want to waste your time at all. What does that mean? He's not in real estate, he's running a coffee shop.
I emailed you this morning, the fellow we spoke about, Mitesh, right? He has real estate that he wants to play with, but he's focused on selling coffee. So if I get him at the right time,
there's no difference. Every single person on this planet has a belief system. You call him up and say, Mr. Client, you are looking for a deal. What are you doing with this deal? And he's going to tell you, I'm going to the bank direct. If you tell the guy, you're wasting your time, it's a stupid idea, you're wasting your time. Instead, fact find. Why are you going to the bank yourself? Why don't use a broker? And if his answer is, because you know something, I know the banker myself, gives me a great deal, and I don't think you're going to get better. Then you could say, if I got better, would you use me? If he says no, you're not going to work it. If he says yes, it might make sense to use it. But there's still another question of fact finding. Because I don't waste my time. Can you just tell me what offer you have? You say, yes, I went to my bank and they got me 3.75%. Are they charging you a fee? No. Call up the office here. What are the rates? Also 3.75, but he has to pay us a fee. Does it make sense he should use us? No. I could give you 8 million possibilities why it still makes sense, but logically it doesn't, so I wouldn't pursue it. I'd make one more phone call to him, saying, is there any value you have in using a broker? Or no, if everything is even, you'd rather go yourself. Would you pay a premium to have a broker, just like you'd hire an attorney? Some people say, yeah, not a full fee, but it's worth it to me, X dollars if you ran the process for me. You're going to say, hey, I'm not doing that deal for that amount of money, so we're not a good match. Or you might say, yeah, if you could better my prepayment penalty, that's worth it to me also. If you could better this, it's not about the rate anymore. But don't try to create things of why it should work for him. You have to ask him if he has a pain point or if he thinks there's any value under the sun. If the answer is no, then you move on.
But so then you already pared it down by finding out that by discussing with him if he has any pain points. Let's say this guy has to run from bank to bank and he's doing that.
Some people, but you know something, he says, I have time to run from bank to bank. Because I have a coffee shop, it's only busy till 10 a.m., then it's a break till 1, and not from 10 to 1, I do this. And you can't check. But it's all about fact finding. But the difference is the creativity is after. When you find somebody you ask the questions with, that's when you want to bring out the creativity with.
A new or existing client wants help with going into contract. Do we deal with that?
The question of a new or existing client wants help going into contract. Do we help with that? The answer is you are a trusted advisor. And you are going to do anything you can within the legal world to assist a client in any way you can, so that when he has a deal, he's going to use you. When it comes to negotiate, you'll have an upper hand and say, listen, I know that people out there are negotiating with brokers, but they're brokers, they bring them a deal and they go home. I'm there for you every time you want to run numbers on a new purchase. I'm there going into contract. I got you on that deal. I helped you over here. You build up that relationship base. You have that. That's the relationship. When I try to win a client, they'll understand my equity division. I go to a client, the guy says, all right, what should I use? Your rates are basically the same, right? Yeah. But he helps me sometimes with equity. Or he helps with A, B, and C. What are you doing for me? Why should I switch? It's not fair. He's right. He shouldn't switch. So I looked at all those reasons that people tell me, and I checkmate moves on me, and I created that checkmate move in reverse. So an equity division. I give them the technology so that when they're buying a meeting, I give them the calculators, I give them the rates, I give them the news, whatever they can need on the run, they have all that information with them. They want someone to help them just run quick numbers. For my VIP clients, I'll let them use my setup department the same way. So I have a client who looks at 3-4 deals a week, and he looks at a few hundred, but just with his eye, just gets rid of it. 3 or 4 he's thinking about, he might want to take more serious. I gave him an email address, VIP@Eastern, you see. You can email it, go directly to the same group that you have. So it's a resource. You tell a client, you don't have help? You ever need help running your numbers? I have a team will help you within 2-3 hours. They'll give you back basic numbers back to you. That's a value add. So he goes home, he says, another broker calls him, same rate, I'm using Eastern. They help me with a lot of things. And hopefully that gets another broker not to even pursue him. So the answer to these questions are 100% yes. We try as much as we can to do it, but you want to do it with someone that appreciates it. You know, people can take advantage. They're going to do it, and then still shopping out with them.
How do you filter them out? Or do you take advantage?
You're not going to be able to filter it out with time. It's a read in time and how they answer you, and you'll see the relationship of trust. You get burnt at the beginning, but that's part of that's how you story. Let me tell you what happened to me when I started. You'll have those stories in 20 years.
You talked about this earlier, but I just called the client doing a great conversation and everything yesterday or whatever, and they say he's not doing anything right now. How do I call back? I want to be persistent, but I don't want to be a pain in the neck. What help?
He told you how did he end yesterday?
First, it was very hard to get through to him. I got through to him. This, that, he called me back. There's nothing going on right now. I called him back. With some things being in the neighborhood. When do I call him? A week, in a month?
So here's the answer to this question. The question is, what happens if someone genuinely tells you he has nothing now, and you want to keep in touch?
Interested.
Okay. But he has nothing now.
Right.
So if you had a normal conversation, you felt he leveled with you, my response is that you can't call him for business before 2 or 3 months. Just to say, do you have a deal now with him? Not more than 2. It has to take 2 months. My advice is not to wait 2 months. Just to be able to pick up the next phone and say, do you have a deal now? It has to be at least in that range of 2 months. If you believe this guy's really a player, and when he has a deal, you want to get to the point that he's going to say, you know something, I like you, and build a relationship that you'll be in before he sends it to his other broker and all these things, you have to find a reason to call him earlier. But it has to be a reason that benefits him. So some of the things in general, I'm a big believer. I call always to wish a good weekend. Every name that you have, your Fridays, if you're coming to this business, should be called whoever your only Friday call should be. All your top, let's see, you have time to make 82 calls, 63 or 200, whatever it is. Those people every week are just called to wish a good weekend. Even if the secretary picks up the phone, says he's there, by the way, don't bother him, just tell him to call to wish a good weekend. So at least you're building up that relationship rapport. You might feel awkward in the beginning while you're calling him. You know, and it sounds awkward, but after all, that's how you build a relationship. Voicemail, an email, just I didn't catch you, just have a good weekend. Building up a rapport. Okay? And if you're a robot and you send the same thing every week, it's a problem. Use WhatsApp, and he's on your WhatsApp blast, it's a little bit of a problem. Because if you spoke to the guy yesterday and said, well, have a great weekend, you know, you customize a little bit. So these are the things you want to work on. But I'm not a big believer every Friday. Another part of it is try to find another reason to call him. Are they looking to buy? Call him back like a week later. By the way, we spoke last week. I don't got a deal. You looking to buy? Tell me you're looking to buy. Oh, no. The deal is not that, but I'll keep that in mind. Have a reason to be in front of his face. But the second time you call, you have to actually have something with it. Now, you're not calling it nothing. And I'm not create a whole BS scenario. But you want to come with something. But then at a certain point, you build a rapport. Is there anything else in general? And I'll be in the city next week. I come drop by, just say hello. The person only gets bothered if you're calling him and you know he has no deal, and the only reason you're calling is for the deal. But if clearly the purpose of the call is I'm in the city and I'll say hello, and he knows it's not going to be awkward again, why wouldn't he want to meet you? Yeah, that's building a relationship with him. So just talk to market. Come up, we'll talk. We're active. Or if you're here with the senior broker you're working with, I'm in the city with you. These are things that you want to hear. Let's just talk to market. I'm local anyway. And I know you have nothing. Like think about people who make solicitations. People call someone up, and it's possible the person they're calling is perceiving that maybe they're calling to make a charity solicitation. So they'll start to call. I'm not calling you for any money, right? Same thing here. I'm not calling you. I know you're not doing a deal. I'm in the city anyway. We just say hello. Like I will do a deal in 6 months. At least let's get to know each other. Some people are going to say no, don't bother me. Call me in 6 months, and other people are amenable to it.
They say don't bother me.
At a certain point, you have to say, "What? I want to date such a guy." That's the end.